This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryan text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Couple 13-14 past. I'm Common. He's 10 to be. Mark Rosen makes his triumphant return tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Head coach of the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, will have his weekly news conference. Generally does the day after the game, I guess, because of a short week. He's moving it to tomorrow rather than today. Scheduled for 1:15. The PJ Flex Show. It's regularly scheduled time on Tuesdays at 12 o'clock. Tenby, there was more than just the Vikings-Eagles game yesterday. There was a full slate of games across the National Football League. It's time now for our version of NFL Roundup.
Time now for the NFL Roundup. Yeah!
Out in the Old West. Sounds like an Old West movie.
Yeah, it sounds like it's from out west, but we're going to start east across the pond in London as Devontae Hattrick, you can call him Hattrick. Devontae Adams got the hat-trick.
First and goal at the one. Stafford throwing to the right side again, looking for Adams. Jump ball! He's got another one! Devontae Adams with his third touchdown of the game! And the Rams are pouring it on the Jaguars at Wembley. It's 34-7. Stafford one-on-one, Devontae Adams. And it's his third touchdown, tying his career best for the future Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Touchdowns are more important than yards. Did he only have like 55 yards receiving yesterday, I think?
Yeah, he was just an end zone guy. All his touchdowns were,
they were just
within the
tutties.
5 yard line.
His catches were tutties.
He's elite in those situations. He had 3. Matthew Stafford threw for 5. That was Westwood 1 on the call, by the way. Rams 35, Jaguars 7 in London.
So the Jaguars, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I thought they were going to win the whole thing. Weren't they 4-1 or 4-0? No, 3-1. They had a goal
after that Chiefs win a couple weeks ago.
The Chiefs win, and it looked like, and then they've been just off for the last 2 games. I mean, no shame to lose. You're going to lose games in the NFL, but to just get buried like that by the Rams, not a good sign for the Jaguars.
Let's move on to the NFC North in Chicago.
1st and 10 at the 11. Out of the eye. Komet motions right. Adunze out to the right. Snap. Caleb giving his swift. On the cutback. Gallops inside the 5. Blasting into the end zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears. That boy Ben Johnson. Aggressive. Run the football right there. And it's 12-0. Bears the lead on a 10-yard. DeAndre Swift making an 11-yard. DeAndre Swift touchdown run.
That was the Chicago Bears radio network. Bears beat the Saints 26-14. They didn't really pass effectively, but in this game, DeAndre Swift, 124 yards rushing and a tutty, and Kyle Monangai, 81 yards rushing and a tutty.
That's 4 wins in a row for the Bears, tend to be. Says Wright set up the game's first tutty with a long interception return. The Bears overcame a spotty performance by Caleb Williams to match their best streak since the 2018 NFC North Championship team closed the regular season with 4 straight wins. And how bad are the Saints? That's as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
I think Rattler, Deuce and I had that game on as well because I think it had spread swing implications. Deuce took the Bears, which I was going to take the Bears, but I was distracted by a knockdown punch cut fade draw and didn't realize he'd already taken the Bears in spread swing. There was a time where Rattler, I think, had like 4 completions for 5 yards or something like that. I mean, this was deep into the game.
He was rattled.
He was rattled, that's for sure. So Bears go to 4-2, and they sit firmly entrenched, tied with the Kitties right now for second in the NFC North.
A matchup I don't think anyone was really looking forward to. That would be Miami and Cleveland. They had some bad weather there. That means the Browns were doing it all on the ground.
And they're now on the Miami 46-yard line for the far hash out of an I formation. Fannin in front of Judkins. Gabriel on first down will give to Judkins, running up the middle. Big hole 40. He's at the 35. He's at the 30. It's a foot race 20, 15, far sideline. Touchdown! Quinshon Judkins, 46 yards to the house.
One of 3 touchdowns for Quinshon Judkins. He also ran for 84 yards as the Cleveland Browns, and that was the Cleveland Browns radio network. They beat the Miami Dolphins 31-6.
That's the first time a Browns running back has had 3 rushing scores in a game since Nicky Chubb in 2022. Did you know that?
If you would have asked me who it would have been, I would have guessed Nick Chubb.
Yeah, it wasn't Nick Chubb. The Browns had 4 takeaways in the game for the first time in nearly 2 seasons. Tend to be big plays and turnovers, 4 in one game.
Speaking of big plays, how about Drake May?
Remember, all 3 timeouts remaining. They're down 13-10. May takes the snap chest high. He drops back with time. He loads up. He does a long ball. Open man Goody. And he reaches out. He snaps it. He tumbles into the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots!
What a throw! What a throw! More importantly, it's the catch.
Drake May, 39-yard touchdown pass to Kayshon Boutte, and that's 98.5, the Sports Hub Patriots Radio Network. Patriots 31, Tennessee 13, Titans, along with the Saints and the Jets and the Dolphins, the worst teams in football.
Yeah, the Patriots are 5-2. That's their 4th straight win. May, 222 yards and 2 tutties, a passer rating of 135.9. Pretty good. And is that the guy that it's rumored the Vikings really wanted? That was the guy that O'Connell bought?
Yes, they wanted to trade a couple first-round picks for him.
They wanted to get in.
And now I wish they would have.
Well, by the way he's playing now, yeah, I think we all feel that way.
The Chiefs are chiefing.
Chiefs do get the ball to start the third quarter. That enters into that same discussion. They load the right side up again. They single the near side. Rice, touchdown! Kansas City. Rashee Rice, his 2nd touchdown. And back, and is he back, baby? The Chiefs go on a 16-play, 94-yard drive. 3 drives, 3 long touchdown drives.
96.5 The Fan and the Chiefs Radio Network. Pat Mahomes, 286 yards passing on 26 of 35. Threw for 3 touchdowns. And Rashee Rice,
7 catches for 42.
Yeah, first game back from a suspension and those 2 touchdowns. The Chiefs win 31-0.
What was he suspended for?
He had some off the field, the car accident thing.
Okay.
So yeah, he was suspended the first 6 games of the season.
How about now?
But he's their best wide receiver, and now they were losing some games early on because they didn't have Rashee Rice. Xavier Worthy was hurt. Now he's got his 2 best passing options, and Mahomes looks really, really good right now.
Now, Max Crosby missed much of the game because of a knee injury, and he's their best offensive weapon, which isn't saying a lot because I don't think they have much more than that. As a matter of fact, how about this, Tenneby? The Chiefs held the Raiders to 3 first downs and 96 yards while beating them for the 10th time in 11 matchups. Geno Smith finished 10 of 16 for 67 yards. That's just a total domination as they shut out the Raiders.
One of the worst games of the day, that would be Panthers versus Jets. Bryce Young gets hurt. Andy Dalton comes in to seal it.
In an empty set, Hubbard playing an up-back position. Now he motions off the left hip of Dalton. Andy the snap, back to throw, launches deep downfield. Leggett, and just makes the catch inside the 25-yard line. It's been a career game for Xavier Leggett. They went for the haymaker, and Xavier Leggett delivers.
That's a gutsy call right there.
The Red Rifle.
Yeah, the Panthers beat the Jets 13-6. Xavier Leggett 9 for 92 and a touchdown, and a lot of that is because the passing game is a lot more efficient with Andy Dalton when he comes in. And he comes in 4 for 7 for 60 yards, and it sounds like he's going to get the start next week because Bryce Young's still hurt.
I would never have guessed he was still in the league. I had no idea. I thought he retired like 10 years ago, but there's Andy Dalton still spinning it. He can still spin it, Tenneby, apparently.
The noon game's not great. The 3 p.m. games were very good. We'll begin with Colts Chargers. Lots of points scored here.
High snap for Jones, but he pulls it down, gets it to Taylor. Marching to his right. He's at the 5. Touchdown! The trifecta again for Jonathan Taylor. 3 rushing touchdowns for the greatest running back going 37-17, Colts over Bolts.
I love that. Colts over Bolts, and that's what they happened. They win 38-24. Jonathan Taylor, maybe the best running back in football right now. Three touchdowns, 94 yards rushing.
How about Danny Jones, 288, 2 scores? We didn't need him. We didn't even offer him a contract. He went elsewhere. We could have had him under center. Could have had Sammy Darnold, too, who plays tonight.
Best game of the day.
32-30. The Giants have the lead with 2 seconds to go. Denver with the ball on the 20, lined up with the ball being spotted near hash at the 29, an attempt of 39 yards for the win. Snap, placement, kick on the way. It is good! Bronco players celebrating like they just won a home playoff game.
KOA Denver on the call. The Broncos rally for the comeback. 33 points in the fourth quarter after they trailed 19-0. 25 of those in the final 5.5 minutes.
I'm trying to find the statistic, Tenneby. I had it in one of these stories here. I think it was when the game was like 26-8. The
odds?
The percentage chance that the Broncos could win the game was at like 1%. I mean, it was basically over. And
how about this stat? This is from Kevin Harlan. NFL teams had won 1,602 consecutive games when leading by 18-plus points with 6 minutes or less to play in the fourth quarter until the Giants lost to the Broncos yesterday.
And that's the stat. Then there was like a less than 1% or like a 1% chance that the Giants were going to lose that football game. That's what the percentage was. You didn't highlight that Packers game in there, did you?
It's break time, so we still have 3 more if you want to get to that on the other side of the break.
I don't know. Packers won. We're happy for them. They look pretty good right now, I must admit. We'll pause, come back. Maybe we'll finish NFL Roundup. Have some more text messages to get to regarding the quarterback controversy, conundrum, whatever you want to call it, in regards to the Vikings. We'll take a break, come back with more here on the Common Man program on The Fan.
The Fan and 2 Minute Junk Truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword cash at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. The keyword is cash. Enter now at KFAN.com.
Double 13-14 pass. I'm Common, he's Tenneby. Here until 3, probably, if you've been listening for, even just today, but if you've been listening for longer than that, you probably realize noon to 3, at least the host, I'm not talking about Tenneby, I'm talking about the host, is uninformed, unprepared, but unapologetic about it. If you're looking for poised, polished, and professional, that's coming your way at 3 o'clock. Big Ticket and JG will be here. Dr. Mike weighs in, Tenneby, and here's what he has to say, courtesy of our Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line. He says, we really won't know what J.J. McCarthy can do until we have, 1, a strong and stable offensive line built on young drafted players rather than old injury-prone free agents. 2, a strong and stable defense built on young drafted players rather than old injury-prone free agents, which means we probably won't know what J.J. McCarthy can do until he takes over for Matty Stafford in 2028. Side note, 3 drafts have netted the Vikings 2 starters, one of whom is the kicker.
Yeah.
The same 3 drafts have netted the Packers 15 starting / rotational players. Is that true? Have the Packers drafted that well? They do have, I think, the youngest.
They do have a draft and develop philosophy.
And they do have, I think they were saying this last year, that they had the youngest average age across the roster, the youngest team in the National Football League, which doesn't bode well because, again,
we also traded away a bunch of our draft picks, but that being said, the ones he traded them for aren't hitting yet.
That is correct. Yeah, and if you're a Packer fan, you can't help but be I know Viking fans don't.
By the way, we've had 3 starters over the last 3 years.
Okay.
Because Donovan Jackson's starting.
Okay, there you go.
Jordan Addison.
There you go.
And then the Will Reichard.
So there you go, Dr. Mike.
And J.J. McCarthy was starting. Technically, he's hurt.
Quack, quack. You're right, I guess, technically. I guess.
We'll never know their true intentions behind it.
I guess.
But for now, we have to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I guess Dr. Mike, though, his point is well taken.
With the Vikings, you just go back another year.
Yeah.
Because it's been 4 drafts for Kwesi.
Yeah. I guess Dr. Mike's point is well taken. Though.
Yeah.
The drafting has not been very good. We've not... and that is the problem. Look, when the Vikings said, after the loss to the Rams, it was the season-ending news conference. It was like, I think they did it Monday. The coach came out and said, we need to rebuild the interior of both the offensive and defensive lines. And they did that, but they did do it with expensive veteran free agents. Of those expensive veteran free agents, the center's done nothing. And that's because he's had 2 concussions. So whether I wasn't breaking down his play prior to the first concussion and then afterwards before the second concussion, I don't know how well he was playing. If he was playing at a high level, if he was just playing okay, if he wasn't doing very good at all. Our other offensive lineman wasn't he the right guard? He's our Fries, right? He's our right guard, I believe. I think he's played every game. And I don't hear his name called much, which generally means if you're an offensive lineman, your name's not called much, you're probably doing your job. So that I'll give the Vikings credit on that free agent signing. That's worked out. On defense, the 2 guys in the interior, I don't know. They were supposed to provide more pass rush. Have they? I don't know what their sack numbers are. I don't know what the pressure rates are. I don't have those numbers in front of me. But yesterday, and I know the offensive line for Philadelphia is very good because that's what they do. Every year, they draft offensive linemen. Every year, whether they need them or not. They just keep developing offensive linemen. The Lions have that same strategy. The Vikings have drafted offensive linemen. People think that they haven't. They just haven't hit on the right guys for the most part. This is what I think has happened with the Vikings. But Hurts had all that. They were just showing the highlight package here again. Those, we talked about there were like 4 passes of 20-plus yards. On 2, maybe 3 of them, he was just standing there looking left, looking right, bouncing up and down. I mean, it was like a scrimmage. He had all the time in the world. So what happened to that? Those interior defensive linemen, Hargrave and what's the other kid's name?
Allen,
they were supposed to give us some inside pass rush. Nothing, at least yesterday. And I don't know how it's gone all year.
I feel like I don't have the analytics with me, but and I haven't watched the All-22. I feel like the Vikings didn't send as much pressure yesterday. And I'm guessing a lot of that is Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley related, right? If you miss, both of them are capable of burning you. So I just felt like we just did their standard rush the 4 guys, and they weren't getting home. And a lot of our pressure comes more from B-Flow's scheming than necessarily the talent that we have.
But those 2 inside guys were supposed to give us more of that, weren't they?
Yes.
And they have not done so. And so I know Wentz is catching a lot of heat. There's the Wentz haters out there, and I understand it. He was not very good yesterday. I thought he had moments. I mean, that last drive, he's got no time to throw. No one's open. He runs for 2 first downs on he's laying it on the lines in the training room. He runs for a couple of first downs on 3rd down. He also made some nice completions, but certainly the 2 interceptions, in particular the pick 6, was just awful. And the intentional grounding might have been the worst. I mean, that was just...
Yeah.
Because if you watch the replay, and he's looking...
At least sell it.
When he's looking right at C.J. Ham, he's looking at him. He's wide open. Now, I don't think C.J. scores from there, but there's nobody very close to him at that point. But the defense needs to accept as much responsibility for that loss yesterday, especially we talked about. I know you're not going to prevent every completion. There are going to be breakdowns in every secondary on any team. I don't care. My guess is the old 85 Bears and the 2000 Ravens had their issues as well, right? Occasionally. But when a quarterback has a perfect rating, the first time in his career, is it 153.8? Is that a perfect QBR? I think it is.
Sounds like it.
I think 150. He had a 153.8. So you can blame Wentz all you want, and you can believe that McCarthy would have played better and maybe won the game, and maybe McCarthy, if he'd been healthy and been playing all this time, he'd be where Drake May is right now. I'm not convinced of that.
I don't think we win that game with J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, I don't think we do either. I don't think we do either. And I understand the people's anxiousness to see him play. I think because, well, we'll talk about it again on the other side of the break. We'll talk about a couple of other things that happen in the NFL as well. We'll do that in the last segment, other side of the break here on the Common Man program on the Fan. Messages accepted at the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. This one came in that says, if you admit a QB on a rookie deal is a blueprint, then why do you get annoyed with people wanting McCarthy to start now and take advantage of the rookie deal? Sounds like you're confused. Well, not really, and that's not the only way to do it. The Rams didn't do it that way. They traded for a veteran quarterback and won a big game that very first year. There are many different ways to win a big game championship. The other thing is I did text back to the email. He must not have watched those first two games from McCarthy. I would suggest, if he thinks I'm confused, he must have missed those first two games. So I would suggest go find them online. I'm sure you can, and watch J.J. McCarthy play. Here is the issue.
Also, we're in year 2 of a 4 to 5 year rookie deal.
Yes, that's exactly. There's plenty of time to go on that rookie deal. Here's a text message that came in. It says, if Sam Darnold was on the Vikings roster a year earlier when San Francisco signed him to be the backup, the Vikings never draft McCarthy and Darnold gets the contract extension. Darnold gave the Vikings $50 million quarterback production last year for $10 million, doing the same this year for $35 million, which is still a bargain. If the Vikings offer Darnold the same offer as the Seahawks, he stays. You must make it heavily incentive-laden that are attainable, like Buxton, so you can have an easy out to turn it over to McCarthy, and that does make some sense. Somebody else sent a text message, and let me see if I can find this one, because this one does make a lot of sense. Okay, I can't find, but I can paraphrase what he said, because it's really at the crux of this whole thing, Tanby, what we've talked about before. The Vikings went 14-3 last year. They were one victory away, season-ending game against Detroit, from securing the number 1 seed overall. Their defense was very good. Their offense was very good. Without a real strong interior of the offensive line, they were one of the best teams in football. Darnold laid an egg against Detroit, and then against the Rams. I don't think that was Darnold. That was the interior of the offensive line, which is why the team admitted as much by getting rid of sweaty butt guy.
Garrett Bradbury.
Garrett Bradbury and other guys in the interior of the offensive line, and they got new players. Now, there's the idea that, and I subscribe to this, that by rebuilding the interior of the offense and defensive lines, both lines needed help, and they did that. And if you go 14-3, unless everybody's leaving via free agency, you have to believe your window's open for the following year, right?
Yeah.
So the argument is, well, okay, if you were doing that, why would you start a rookie quarterback? It'd be hard for a rookie quarterback, even in the best of times, to be able to put that type of season together. And I understand that. But you don't get those free agents, I don't think, if you sign Darnold. You don't have as much money to use for free agency. Plus, I also feel like the Vikings probably thought, because it's been done before, you've seen okay quarterback play in teams qualify for the playoffs and make deep runs. The examples that are always used are Hostetler with the New York Giants. He won a big game. Jeff Hostetler was just an okay quarterback. He had a good year that season. Who's the Brad Johnson for Tampa Bay? Brad Johnson's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. He was a better than average quarterback who was in the right situation at the right time. And then who is the guy for Trent Dilfer is the classic case. So I'm assuming the Vikings thought, well, McCarthy he's only lost 3 games in his high school and his collegiate career. I'm sure they thought, and then quarterback whisper. I don't know if you saw this yesterday. They did the sit-down interview with O'Connell, and he was asked by, and I don't know which Fox person did the interview, but they asked him about the quarterback.
Was it Pam Oliver? She was at the game yesterday.
It wasn't Pam Oliver. They asked about the quarterback whisperer, and he said, I don't really care for that very much. Though he did say, I'm proud of what we've done with our quarterbacks here. So while he doesn't like being called a quarterback whisperer, he does feel as though because he said so. I wish I had the quote. It was he talked about how he never had that opportunity to win big games and do this and do that because he just never. He didn't have the ability. He didn't have the talent, or in probably something not the right situation, or whatever the case may be. And he enjoys the process of working with quarterbacks. He likes it very much and being an offensive mind. Yeah. So my guess is he did think, and I don't even necessarily think this is, part of it's ego, but he probably did think, it wasn't so much everybody else saying he was quarterback whisperer. I don't think that helps, that you start believing that stuff after a while. But I'm sure he has a lot of confidence in his ability to coach up quarterbacks, and he thought, if we've got an offensive line that can protect him, and if we improve the defensive line and we bring back what we have, there's no reason we can't win with this kid. And 2 games isn't enough time to tell, but in those first 2 games, let's face it, he had the one brilliant fourth quarter, came out of nowhere, and they won the game. But for the first 3 quarters, he looked lost, and he looked just as lost against the Falcons. And the Falcons have a very good defense. I think we're finding out now. But the point is, I think they felt they were built to win now, and they could do it with a rookie quarterback because they had faith in the quarterback, and the coach had faith in himself that he could coach the kid up. You've heard what he said since then. Part of the reason they're still working on is since the injury, they said, well, and I'm paraphrasing what KOC said, and I'm almost certain this was his point, was that he believes in those mechanics, the eyes and the footwork and all that stuff. And I think he feels like McCarthy is still a long way from putting that together. I think he also, remember what he said after the Wentz victory, the second game when he went 9? Was it who did we beat 2 weeks ago?
Cleveland.
When we beat the Browns, and Wentz had that game-winning drive where he threw 9 passes and 9 completions. He said something about, and again, not the exact quote, but that he believes McCarthy should have been able to learn something about the value of getting rid of the ball quickly, because that's what the one thing Wentz does has gone with. There's a lot of Wentz haters in this time. They don't like him at all, and he wasn't great yesterday. I don't think he was as awful as a lot of people think, but that Wentz, at least generally speaking, gets rid of the ball as quickly as he can. Now, yesterday, he got sacked a few times. I don't think that was because he was holding on to the ball too long. He just wasn't getting a lot of time to throw. And I think they thought that McCarthy would be able to pick up on all that right away. And maybe had he stayed healthy and been playing, these first, how many games have we played now? 6? If he'd been playing all 6 of these games, maybe he would have made some progress. But we won't know that. And I guess that's why people want him back and to see it, to get to that point.
But I think the pickle they're in right now is J.J. McCarthy needs that experience, right? You have to go through those things and learn from it. But they're also, to your previous point of the Vikings roster is built to win now.
Yeah.
So can we waste our time going through the trying to progress with our young quarterback while also potentially losing games with our win now roster that we don't know how long that window is open with the rest of the roster.
And it's a very old roster. It's one of the oldest in the league, from what I understand. And I think that is kind of the quandary.
Conundrum,
the quandary that the coach is in right now is that they do want to play McCarthy, but they also don't want to sacrifice what might be their best opportunity here the next year or two to win. So, and again, I know people are going to say, well, now you're talking out of both sides of your mouth, because if you just said you thought O'Connell had the confidence in McCarthy and himself to win with McCarthy at quarterback, it's possible that they've kind of changed their mind on that a little bit. That, in other words, this might be a longer process to get McCarthy where we needed him to be than we thought. And I'll just tell you, I'll say it again, the defense just didn't come through when they needed to yesterday. I mean, when you allow a quarterback to get a perfect quarterback rating, there's something wrong. There's inherently, you're not getting enough of a rush. The coverage isn't very good. We saw a couple of those passes, guys wide open. I mean, there was one where he had 10 seconds to throw. My guess is there was probably holding on that play, because there's holding on every play, but they don't throw the flag, so you got to cover.
The Vikings defense looked like chairs.
They looked like chairs yesterday for much of the game. They really did. And that's supposed to be kind of our calling card, I think. So you mentioned, was it Schefter with what's his face today on
Pat McAfee.
On the Pat McAfee show? And what did he say again? He said something to the effect of, they'll probably play
short week. Wentz will start.
And if
Wentz plays well and they win, they'll probably give him another week to hold off on J.J. McCarthy.
But if he plays poorly and they don't
J.J.
win,
will probably play Detroit.
And I think that's what I believe most Viking fans right now are willing to sacrifice any chance for this season, or thinking that maybe McCarthy gives them as good a chance to win as Wentz. I guess you could make that argument, though. I don't know.
We've seen so little from J.J. McCarthy, which is why I think people want to see him. It's the backup quarterback. We have hope. I see the same thing. I know I'm going to get really boring with you now. The Wild. I've seen the same thing with the Wild fans, right? We have all these young kids. You have Urov and Ogren. And people want to see these guys elevated in the lineup like right now, because you're seeing like a Johansson on your second line, and Johansson's not a second liner, and Foligno's had to play, right? They're frustrated seeing guys like that in your top six. And I kind of compare it to the J.J. McCarthy of, you are just hoping those guys can play now. These are NHL coaches, right? Like, they're not just withholding playing players, young players, because they just feel like it. They're trying to win too. And if they thought that those guys on a second line would give them the best chance to win, they would do it. They clearly see that those guys, while they might be good eventually, then maybe a month from now, maybe in 2026, maybe in 2028, those guys can play. They are under the belief that those guys right now are not ready for that role. Yet fans just want to see the young guys because they haven't. We want to know what we got.
That's it. We want to know what we got, and we at least the unknown sometimes is you'd rather do that. What you know you have isn't up to par. The thing the reason I think I don't have a problem continuing to play Wentz, because I just think you can win games if you're. I was sold on the idea, and I fought back on it with people for a long time. You remember my little chant was, it's not Donatel, maybe it's the personnel, because everybody destroyed Ed Donatel and said his defense was terrible. Do I have to bring up this stat again? The year the Vikings lost to the Giants in the playoffs, Donatel's team had 4 turnovers on final drives to stop the other team from winning the football game. That sometimes it's the personnel you have. I think with the personnel Donatel had, and Beeflo's probably is a better defensive coordinator than Ed Donatel. But we always want to believe that some coach has some magic elixir, and I just don't think it's true, because we saw what happened yesterday. He had a perfect quarterback rating. That's awful. That's on the defense. That's not on Wentz. It's not on Addison. It's not on Hawkinson. It's not on any of those guys. That's on the defense. And it's not all on the coordinator. Someone else sends, he goes, I think the point everyone is missing here is none of the free agents that were brought in to make us a contender have been any good. Kwesi saved money on the quarterback to bring in a bunch of high-priced talent who has not performed. Well, we're not missing that point. We brought that point up a little bit earlier, that the guys on the inside, on the defensive side of the ball, we thought we don't have enough of an interior pass rush. We need an interior pass rush. So we let Harrison Phillips go. And Harrison Phillips was a good run-stopping defensive tackle. We didn't want that anymore. We wanted, I don't know how much somebody else that does the analytics and the sabermetrics, maybe they can give me some numbers that will show me that the two guys we signed in the end, Redgrave, or Robert Redford, who are the two?
Javon Hargrave.
Hargrave and the other guy.
Jonathan Allen,
that those guys have brought to the table what they were supposed to. If you can show that to me, then that's great. But I don't see any. They sure weren't very effective yesterday. I don't think if your quarterback has a perfect rating. And part of that's on the secondary too. It goes hand in hand. And the offensive line, one of the guys has been injured. He's had the concussions. The other guy, the Fries guy, we haven't heard his name often. I'm thinking he's probably been okay, because generally you only hear an offensive lineman's name is when he's offsides or he's holding, or false start and he's holding. So, but no, you're right. And again, everybody, and I guess the general manager he's the final word on personnel, right? But he says here at the end of that text message, it says, no, they've got so many coming, I can't find it anymore. But talking about how the free agents that Kwesi brought in to save money haven't done the job. I don't know. I don't think Kwesi is calling O'Connell and saying, hey, guess who I signed today? And Kevin goes, who? Joe Bag of Donuts. And Kevin is completely out of the loop on it. I think the head coach and the defensive coordinator meet with the general manager and they go, we need help at position XYZ, and these are the guys we like.
Well, and specifically, last time KFC signed his contract extension, the rumors after were that part of it was he wants more say in personnel.
Correct. That's exactly right. And so,
and other than the Bengals game, when Zayraj had the two, the pick six scoop and score.
Yeah.
And when we turned the ball over like 4 or 5 times in that game, we've only turned the ball over 7 times all season.
Right.
And I feel like they've gone a long time with just forcing a turnover.
This one says, well, Saquon was held to 44 yards yesterday, so Jonathan Allen was pretty impactful. He was brought in here to rush the passer, though, too. That was Hargrave and Allen were brought in here to give an interior pass rush. And it's not the first time Saquon Barkley's been held to a low. Yeah, he's had a very, very mediocre season so far.
Well, I will say the one thing we could do is we're focusing on those two on the interior. Dallas Turner is a virtual non-factor there as well. Grenard didn't do a whole lot yesterday.
Correct.
He was kind of hurt in that last game. I don't know if something lingered over. Or no, last week he popped up on the injury report with a hamstring. So I don't know if that lingered into the game at all. But they didn't get enough push from their entire line.
Yes.
And out of all of them, I get the free agency is disappointing, but Dallas Turner, given what you gave up in the first round to move up and get him, you basically gave up almost like an entire draft for him, and he does not look like the guy right now.
Yeah. I repeat, are you unaware of this? Our defense did give up some big plays, but except for 3 long passes, they played very well. That's 4 long passes, and those are big. What determines games? Big plays and turnovers.
You take away that 79-yard touchdown catch, the 45-yard touchdown catch.
We failed because of Wentz's terrible mistakes. See, everybody wants to believe it's a simple
You know what, though? If you take away Wentz's terrible mistakes, the offense is pretty good in that game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the logic. That's what's so silly about this. I know it's a cliche, but you win as a team and you lose as a team. And Wentz made some really good plays in that game, by the way, but he also did make some excruciatingly bad ones.
There's lots of blame to go around.
There's plenty. And if for me, I blame the defense as much as anything. But
I think they are equally complicit.
Yeah, I think they're equally
right. When you get to the red zone 5 times and don't 0 for 5, you have to settle for field goals.
But again,
and a pick 6 the other way that led to points.
Yes, and again, but the National Football League loves this, and I think we all do. So one score game. I mean, it was there to be. Yeah. It was there to be taken. That was.
And to your point, when we needed stops in the second half, the defense didn't come up.
That's
for us.
correct. Because
that game was ready to be taken.
And if Hawkinson doesn't bobble that was a wonderful effort by Hawkinson. I'm not blaming him for that. That was it. That was an incredibly tough catch. That was ruled as not a catch. That it was called a touchdown and got it to a review was an incredible accomplishment. It was a hell of a play. But if that play holds up, we might be talking about a Viking victory.
But you'd still be down a score, and your defense would have had to make a stop, and they didn't make a stop at the end when they needed to anyway.
That's the other point of it too. Here, look at this. The offensive success rate of the Eagles yesterday was a negative 14%, the worst of any winning team on Sunday. Still think the defense was bad? Yeah. I do. I think when they needed to make the plays, they did.
The defense was just like Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz had some awful moments, and he had some good moments. The defense had some awful moments, and they also had some. Right, they had a couple series in a row where it was 3 and out for Philadelphia, and they were giving the offense the chance at that point.
That is correct. When you give a quarterback a perfect quarterback rating, the defense wasn't that. I don't care what the numbers say. From the a 14% success rate, when the quarterback has a perfect game, he basically pitched a perfect game. It's hard to praise the defense too much. I thought the defense let the Vikings down yesterday as much as Wentz did. Hey, it'll be a Talker Tuesday tomorrow. We'll pick up tomorrow. By the way, Timmy, thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. We enjoyed visiting with you today. 12 noon, it's the PJ Flex Show. We'll be here at 1. Head coach of the Vikings do his day after the game news conference 2 days after the game. That'll be at 1:15 tomorrow. Mark Rosen at 2. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 1. Big Ticket JGR next year on The Fan.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Minnesota!
And good night, folks. And good night, Mrs. Calabash. Wherever you are.
I'm a fraud.
Yes.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.